Hi there, my name is Nicholas, CMO and growth lover at Uptrusts. You're listening to Rocket Talks. This is the podcast where I talk to marketing leaders and growth experts to fuel your next marketing campaign. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Rocket Talks. Today I'm here with Dennis Kenis, who is the MD of Fight Club and Uptrust.
Hello.
Dennis, welcome to be here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to be here. The topic that I wanted to tackle today is a bit the difference between performance and growth. Because many people that follow us, they know Uptrust, they know that we're a growth marketing agency, but now we're more closely working together with one of our sister companies, Fight Club, which was a company that, if I'm not mistaken, that you originally founded, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Maybe could you tell that story? Because that I think would be an interesting story of how Fight Club became what it is today.
Yeah. So Fight Club, we had 3 renamings over the past 15 years. So Fight Club has been founded 15 years ago.
Okay.
As a performance agency, of course, throughout the years, I would say that the vision has never changed, but what is under the hood changed, but always with the purpose of generating results in a profitable way for clients. So
okay.
That's the foundation.
How did you start out? Because I want to hear the entire story, Dennis.
Okay.
And I think the people here want to hear it as well. How you went from starting all by yourself that many years ago when performance was not something that as common as it is today. I guess at that point you also still had to educate a lot of people about what actually performance is and why they need it.
True.
To now being part of the Customer Collective family and being a brother or sister of Uptrust.
All right. So I'll try to keep it brief, but let's say I've been working now for about 24, 25 years. So quite a bit already. I've worked at different sites. So I started my career in the early days. I also worked for Proximus. Back then, Belgacom Skynet, where you could say, worked on the performance partnerships for the portal. So I was working with the eBays, etc. At that point,
you had to negotiate with those websites, all independent, to get your content on there.
Back then, the journey of online users usually started or at Skynet or at Microsoft, MSN back then. So we had a quite powerful position. And then, of course, for the eBays and many of those players, that was important to be there and have a presence. But actually, we worked on performance models that were based on new users, the revenue coming from existing users. So actually, no one used the term performance back then. But it was a performance marketing.
So if I understand it correctly, Skynet, back in the days, it was kind of a portal that people used to access the internet.
Exactly.
And then you negotiated deals with other parties to be present on the portal to then drive traffic.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I decided to move on to the area of affiliate marketing, where I made the start at Trade Doubler, which wasn't active in Belgium yet. I helped them, so I opened up the Belgian activities, and we went from 1 to 16, 17 people in a couple of years. So it was exciting. I still remember when I left Skynet to join Trade Doubler, and I said, okay, I'm ready for the new adventure. I'm going to Trade Doubler. And my near colleague said, oh, sorry, never heard of them. I said, that's not a problem, but they're in the field of affiliate marketing. And they said, affiliate marketing? And then I thought, okay, so there will be a little bit of...
Affiliate marketing was also brand new back
then. It was
well,
I was aware of it, but apparently not too many people. So a lot of evangelization needed to be done. So that's what I did for quite a while. It was also a stock listed company, active in I think 16, 17 countries. So it was quite exciting. But after a couple of years, my personal ambition was to do more with less clients, where of course being a stock listed company, there was a pressure on getting more clients and more this and more that. So then I decided to launch my own agency, which was at that point called Fairy Tale.
Okay.
And there, there was a big
Which
part
year are we at that point?
We are throughout 2008. So the official launch of Fairy Tale, now Fight Club, was 2009, but actually we started up in 2008. With a few steps in between and some other activities also within the area of the digital TV and so on, where we tried to do actually performance marketing on our own. So that was the go-to market, I would say. And then I would say Fairy Tale back then was born. A lot of affiliate marketing, no surprise in the beginning,
of course,
which was thriving back then. And from that point, we gradually made our scope larger, but always, like I said, with the ambition to bring results for clients.
And then affiliate marketing, at that point, I guess it was that there were a lot of these portal websites, a lot of these websites that combined these URLs that you wanted to be present on, or?
For a part, yes, but it's a bit of rewinding to do. But actually, everything that's SEA today originated from affiliate marketing, because affiliate marketing was more, I would say, a business model than a channel back then. Also, everything that's retargeting, remarketing was launched under the affiliate marketing umbrella. Why? Because it was easy.
How did that work then?
So you could register as an affiliate. Imagine you were good at doing SEA. Then an affiliate network is a platform. You saw a lot of advertisers. You could just pick them and start buying on Google, for instance, putting ads there, and the results that came out could be attributed to you. Then you should know that back then almost no one was doing it. It was kind of a blue ocean, and everyone could do. And of course, throughout the years,
brands started directly advertising.
Brands and companies insourced that or worked with specialized agencies. So even a number of specialized agencies today on the performance field, I know from back then they started in that way. So that's quite
interesting. When you talked about remarketing and retargeting, was that at that point similar as today, that you could work with pixels and then rebuy inventory and so?
Yes, but also the same. So there was like the front runners were quite often very knowledgeable and hard skills, but not the commercial skills. So an affiliate network and a platform was really useful. You could just pick the right clients and get started in a day and just make sure that it brings results and then benefit from it. Okay,
interesting. So you did that entire transition from affiliate marketing to, I guess, more the performance marketing as we know it today, which in my opinion, SEA is underneath there, meta advertising with their always on layers are in there. Do you have another kind of definition of how you see performance marketing?
Well, I would say that the basis of performance marketing is to make it solid and make it long term, work and keep the line growing. If every day you do a little bit better, then of course you keep growing your clients and you can grow along with that. So I would say it's a bit of an abstract definition, but that's it. And then you can see, what can be plugged on it. I think throughout the years, there's also been, I think, a good evolution of not only bring results today and tomorrow, which is obviously still crucial nowadays, but then again, also look forward, because we want to generate results today, but we also want to make sure that we will keep generating them in a month, in a year, in 2 years. So that's also building a brand, for instance, bringing performance. And I think that's also an area where growth marketing can be of a big added value.
I think what you just said about the brand building and performance is an interesting discussion, because I've had a lot of discussions with marketers that are trying to build an e-commerce brand, for example, and they're struggling between, should I now invest first in performance marketing? Should I invest first in brand building? I had a conversation with the founder of Wonder, and he said, when we launch a new market, we first go for really performance marketing, and then we add a layer of brand building on top. And then again, we will see how we will do the mix. How do you look at it? When do you start with performance? When do you do brand building? And does this difference if you start new products, new markets? What is your vision on that?
Well, there's no one size fits all, I think, and you always need to assess the situation. The ideal world is to build the brand, to start thinking from the brand positioning, building the brand, and then adding the performance layer. Having said that, that requires quite some budgets and quite some means. So I also fully understand that you want to approach it from the other angle, and you say, okay, let's look at the core and the core performance first, and build upon something that is a first installed base, and then see, okay, how can we work on the brand and try to find a balance between the short-term results and sales activation and the long-term brand building. So I think we see them in all types and forms, and I think there's no right or wrong. It's just looking at the full context, thinking along and picking the right approach.
Okay, interesting. Because I had another conversation with the founders from Loop, the earplugs, and they said like, with our brand building and our awareness layer, we actually also touch upon the people that we try to influence in the conversion phase of our performance. Because we know there will be some sort of overlap, and we know that will also help them to do that, to do actually that conversion. So I don't know if we should view it as something completely different. I think both actually influence each other as well.
Of course, they intertwine if we do it correctly. Now, I think it's kind of parallel tracks that you do, but you also have to have a holistic view, because that's the only way of looking back. There's always the discussion of attribution. Same there's no single source of truth. I think it's important that you look at it from different angles, but in the end, it's all about the business results.
Oh, 100%.
So they will determine if you are right or wrong,
Yeah.
but it's parallel tracks with different KPIs and so on. So there, I'm also in favor of having a dedicated approach, but making sure they are aligned, working together. And in the end, also the brand building needs to bring results. That's
You said a couple of things that I think are very interesting and that I want to jump on. A big thing that I want to talk about is attribution, but let's park that for a bit because that's a very big topic. The other thing that you talked about is that you need to be able to measure it and that you need to have the metrics and to prove that this is actually working. I guess that for performance, it's often quite clear that you want to go for your conversions, really that impact on sales immediately. What do you see as valuable metrics to measure that you're doing something right in the awareness phase or in the brand building phase?
I think it starts by defining the right audience and making sure that you can touch them and reach them in a proper way. So there's also getting the critical mass, touching them, and then seeing that they interact. Of course,
engagement is something very important that you look at.
Is an important thing, and also something that can be measured in quite fast. It's not the final KPI, but it's an intermediate one. And then, of course, there's you can make the measurement analysis or the impact analysis as heavy or light as you want. You can there's built-in stuff like brand lift studies and so on, depending on the channels and the campaigns that you run.
Can you maybe explain to the audience what you mean with the brand lift studies?
Well, if you spend a certain amount, for instance, on YouTube in a certain period of time, you don't have to invest additionally, but you can have a check and have a sort of study on what the impact is of the investment you make. So,
so that they will,
for instance, brand recognition. You can have a benchmark. Okay, the campaign has had this impact.
But then they do a test, right, to the audience where they need to say, did you see any of these ads in the past couple of days?
For instance,
that kind
so that can be cheap in the sense that it's already paid for because of following the media budgets. Regardless of that, there's obviously also a lot of market research and studies you can do, and that's what I refer to. If you can make it really heavy and thorough, but you can also look at it from a more light angle and also launch a study and say, okay, how many people did you touch? What's the impact and so on. So there's a number of things you can do. You can also have a look on what the impact on the brand searches is, for instance, in performance campaigns and so on. So there's a quite large scale of things that you can use to have this impact for the shorter period of time, because of course, like I said, in the longer period of time, you will have to see the results in the business.
So if I summarize this, some good ways to measure the impact of your brand campaigns are, first of all, looking at your impressions and your engagement metrics. That I think is the easiest thing to do. Second layer that I would say is also very easy is to look at the organic search demand lift that you see, or more people typing in my brand name in Google. And maybe even if you say we're just running these campaigns in specific geographical areas, that you can see, does this impact in that geographical area?
Yeah. We can also, for instance, sorry to interrupt you, throughout the partnerships with Google, we can also have a benchmark versus competitors, like what is the impression share or the click share and so on. So you can also compare it as opposed to your competitors. So that's also useful information.
And then I think the third one is the brand survey studies that the platforms offer, because it's not available for everyone. You need to spend quite some money. And then I think the most difficult layer, the deepest layer, is effectively those market studies.
Exactly.
Where there are, where people
and
are
then
surveyed.
of course, throughout the time, you will have to see it back in results. So there's the final proof.
But then that brings us to marketing attribution.
Yeah.
Because that is then definitely, I think, one of the trickiest things then. If people saw an ad, and maybe we can make it bigger and say like, okay, let's talk about just these brand awareness campaigns, because Fight Club also does creative campaigns, like these big out-of-home campaigns, these kind of things. That's also brand building. That's actually a lot of brand building. So I guess that for a lot of companies, they think it's even harder to measure the impact there of those out-of-home campaigns, digital campaigns. Like, how do you explain to a client that the impact will be there and that they will be able to see that and maybe then lead into how will we attribute that? But let's first take the first part of the question.
Yeah, well, of course, we're used to looking at things from the performance or the growth side. So if you have a client that is used to investing a lot in this area and not in the brand building and the brand awareness, yes, it's a bit of a tough conversation. And I think we have to take it in the way that we just explained. Let's not forget that a lot of companies and brands are used to investing in the brand building and the brand awareness, and still need to actually learn a lot on the other side. So we bring them from a good campaign and a good brand exercise and a creative concept and so on. We bring them to using the right media, more on the awareness side, and adding the performance layer. Yes, this is but this is also a true story, and where we just take them the other direction and say, but we are also we're not only thinking about the creative part and the right campaigns, we are also used to making sure it works and showing it to you, because if you only would be doing this and you drop this, then it's never going to work. And not a lot of players in the market and agencies are doing this full funnel approach in a way that is, I would say similar when it comes to skill and expertise and so on. Usually people or agencies or players are more experienced here or here, but the full circle or the closing the loop is not that common.
Okay, but then let's get back to my question, where we're talking about those digital out-of-home campaigns, those big creative campaigns. How do you attribute the impact of that to the end goal of increasing sales and revenue? Since it's not because I saw on Monday an ad for Burger King that I will go that week, but maybe in 2 weeks I will think, I need a burger, I will go to Burger King.
Yeah, true. Well, not everything is to be attributed directly. That's so. Once again, I think we have to define the right KPIs to have the short-term measurement and to search for a certain proof that we are doing the right things. In the longer run, of course, we have to take assumptions and check on the business case. Having said that, there are different ways in trying to close this loop of attribution. I'll take an example. We have also quite a few omni-channel retail clients where we also import the store sales, so the physical store sales, back retroactively into our campaigns, and we see, when did we touch them? Of course, when someone just runs past an out-of-home affiche or something like that, that's not to be attributed, but usually there's multiple touch points. So those things also help us in closing the loop and see where can we match these physical store sales or an online store sales with the paths that someone went through. So those things are available and we should use them at full force. But on the other hand, it's just an illusion that we can close the gap on everything we do. Also, what's happening today when it comes to privacy and so on.
100%.
It will be a bit more complicated in the future. Then again, if we know what works and we do the right things, then we shouldn't be too afraid that in the end we see the results. And that's also because even on performance marketing, if it's a purely e-commerce thing, you could immediately see all the impact. A bit of a similar conversation with these retail omni-channel players. We also see kind of a symbiosis between online and offline, and sometimes offline is growing a bit faster and then online. And so they're also, okay, our mandate is more on the online part, but we look at both and we have this holistic view. And the most important thing is that we see where it can influence. And we also have a number of clients who say, okay, you decrease this campaign, for instance, and we see an issue with the footfall traffic in the store. So can we bring this up again? So that's also a valid...
Because a discussion there's a lot of discussion about the marketing attribution online. I've been part of a couple of these discussions. But one of the things that I really resonate with is that because of those third-party cookies that are going to be gone, because of all those tracking things that are not going to be there anymore, we need to look at marketing attribution completely different and more as a whole. That we try to see, okay, now for this campaign, we're going to experiment to try to influence this demographic within this market. We're going to do campaigns on different touch points. We're going to try to influence them and then see what the impact is at the end, at the conversion, and then see, okay, indeed, which kind of touch points did they have, and then attribute it back that way. It will not be a 100% fit, but you will be able to see, okay, they got these touch points and that actually led to this conversion. And I really like that because too many people theorize about people go from awareness to consideration to decision, buying and so on. But a customer journey is not that linear. And it's not because you saw first an ad in the street, then an ad online that you bought. No, it's because you saw it then again, and then someone talked to you, and then you went back to that first phase. And then if you are in a too strict of customer journey with a too strict marketing attribution model, and then with all the data that's gone because you cannot measure, you're fucked, and it doesn't make sense anymore. What is your view on this approach of marketing attribution?
Well, I think for sure we have to make it pragmatic. Like the idea of analyzing things that we do and then see what the impact is on the outcome, because that's actually what it is. The whole journey is people, as you say, are not going through a linear funnel, but they jump from one stage to another, and hopefully we do it right on every stage, and then at the right moment, which they will choose, they will convert. So fully aware, and I share the vision. Now I think it's also, again, depending on the specific client, the specific context, and so on, the means, how large are the campaigns, and so on. We're also experimenting with certain attribution tools that are outside of the typical platforms we use. And they also bring in a lot of learnings. Now, of course, there's also a cost linked to that. But I think for some brands and clients, this is a really relevant thing to do because it helps you have different perspectives on what you're doing and analyzing things you do, actions you take in perhaps more of a 360 view. Then again, is that needed for all brands and all clients? No. Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And it's also about looking at the final results. What are your goals? Taking market share is a different goal than just trying to grow the profitable business when coming from the marketing activities that you do. So I think it's important for us as an agency, as a player, a partner in the market, to test on different things and have, I would say, like an attribution Swiss knife available, and make sure that we test and try the right things for the right clients. But there's absolutely not a one way to go. That's.
I'm happy that you said testing, because that brings us to growth marketing. That's a nice transition. Like, I'm also a big fan of keeping it holistic, seeing that, and then looking at the individual channels. If we see kind of impact there, that stuff is moving, look at some different metrics to see, okay, does it actually work? But then to optimize your channels, that's where I think that growth marketing can play a vital role.
Yeah.
Where I see that performance marketing, you're always on campaigns, these ones that you said, like this is your steady base. This is the ones that you want to also keep on going. Yeah. And then what I think is that growth marketing is a very nice addition to that, where within those channels that you found that are winners, or maybe in new channels that you've never tried, I believe that growth marketing should be there to find out new things that work, experiment, and then maybe later on scale them in your always on.
Yeah.
How do you look at how those two can work together, and what is your view on that?
Yeah. Well, it won't be a surprise that I also believe in
wow.
the synergy between the two, of course. I've had a look at it from one angle, and I think this long-term approach and a solid foundation is crucial and essential. Of course, you will need, when I say you need to make sure you get results today, but also in a year and further. There's the brand side, but there's also making sure you keep testing new things. I think would you label it performance or growth? That's not the big issue, but you need to invest a certain amount of time in trying new stuff to make sure that the next thing, if you can do it before all the rest is doing, you can get a big competitive advantage. I also think that everyone is testing in a certain way, but the big advantage at Uptrust as being like specialized in growth marketing is that you have a solid methodology. You know how to do it. You know how to define the right experiments. You know how to kill scale. You know how to select the ones, and then actually you feed them in the always on performance layer, if you like, if it's working. So I think there you can really get the machine going and make sure that you get those results. Additionally, it's also looking beyond the typical paid channels. It's full funnel. Yeah. I think if we work together on different projects with growth and performance teams, as we do quite often now, is that you see the learnings from both sides and you see, oh yeah, we can approach it in this way, and oh yeah, but we should also look at the landing page, and we should also look at email marketing or a marketing automation flow and so on. So there, I think, it's the methodology. It's also looking even at a larger scale than we're used to doing in performance marketing. And then there's also the mindset, which is really compatible, I would say. Like, okay, how can we get the best results in a short period of time versus how can we make sure we get results today and in a longer term. So there also, I think it's a good dynamic and trying to fuse these two rhythms of working. I think that there's also a beauty in it.
Yeah. I like what you said about then the scaling and putting it in the always on layer, because a lot of people, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, a lot of people, they read a blog post about growth marketing, they watch one of our webinars, they start experimenting, but they don't have that process in place. Yeah. Then you just have a spike, probably in your traffic or sales, and then it just dies again.
Exactly.
And with having that process in place, where the most important step is the analysis step and the scale step, where you scale your winners, that is indeed where there's that phase where then if you scale it, you can put it in your always on and your performance. Yeah. And the nice thing is, it's not only theory, what we're saying. We did our marketing pulse survey, and out of that survey showed that 11% of the growth experiments that are being run actually find a place in that always on layer of the campaign. So it's actually companies are already doing that. Companies that are doing growth marketing are doing exactly the kind of principles that we're talking about.
Yeah, and I think these 11%, it can be a little bit higher, of course, in relation to how much effort you put in these experiments, but it's a nice percentage already.
Yeah, I think it's fine, because what I want is that 25% of your experiment succeeds.
Yeah,
because if you
can also push the absolute volume of experiment and keep the 11%.
Exactly, because I don't want people to do the things that they've already been doing in the past, and it's more it's something that lives maybe in the performance layer, or because you're just optimizing things maybe there. I want people in growth thinking about what are new channels, what are new value propositions that I could try, new angles that I could try. And that is what I want people to do in those experimentation phase. And you should fail a lot. But every failure you do is an opportunity to learn and to see what can I do different and how can I reach my target audience difference. Yeah. And do you feel that in growth marketing, we have more freedom to fail than there is in performance marketing? Maybe this is a bit of a tricky question, but...
Well, I think, yes, because of the methodology. It's not like we're doing just anything. There is a strict methodology. So in the heads of the people working at Uptrust, but also in the heads of the clients, we know we're going to fail.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to fail. We just need to follow up very closely and act upon it. So
100%.
That's, yes, because it helps. I think in every business, it should be okay to fail and act rapidly upon it. But here, I think in growth, it's inherent to the way of working and so on. But it's crucial that you have this methodology, the right expertise to take it on.
If a new company would start, a new B2B, let's say there's a very boring B2B company, what would you advise them to do? Would you advise them to investigate first growth marketing to get it kickstarted? Or would advise them to immediately go to a performance agency to set up performance campaigns?
Yeah, that's a tricky, good question. It depends a bit on where they are and what they're doing, I think.
Brand new.
Brand new, well, then I think the ideal world is do a brand positioning exercise and see how this would be or could be launched in the market. What's the analysis and how should we make the brand stand out? I think then you could go to in a sort of go-to-market phase where it's more instilled from the growth area to have a very rapid feedback on what's working and what's not, to then start building upon 2 tracks where you have this always on long-term feedback, but you have a continuous circle of experimentation within it. And I think we don't need to bother our clients with what is exactly growth and performance marketing. We just have to make sure that we have the right proposition in the market, we have the good layer of foundation, and we keep experimenting to make sure that we remain the trailblazers. And then I think, to have the direct answer to your question, growth could be an ideal way of working to get fast results and learnings to kickstart it. So then
I 100% agree, because I would, even if you're still in the phase of validating your company and starting out, I would use the growth methodology to validate my value proposition, my target audience. And once I have that, I can build on top of that. I'm more of a fan of trying it out in the market than paying agencies to do a very big study.
You could even do it white labeled without the brand, just to see what is the traction in the market.
Definitely. So at some point in my career, there was a big bank that put me in their basement with no light for an entire day to test an entire day new value propositions for the bank. Right. And I had to buy the landing pages, domains with my own credit card, so it was not being traceable to them. And then I put it all live, and 2 weeks later I had to report on them, okay, this is the kind of things that work. They took it to their management team, they took it to presentations, and then some of these concepts actually became real products of that team.
Super cool. Super cool.
I can't say which bank it was, but...
funny.
So I think that was everything that I want to cover today. I think that was very, very interesting to have this conversation. Likewise. I think some takeaways for me are that growth and performance are not enemies; they're actually best friends that could play together forever.
Should play together, probably.
Because then learnings from one will be instilled in the other. And then companies that have been doing just performance marketing for a long time, I think it's good for them to have that growth on top of them. Like you said, you have more of an holistic view. You will look at your landing pages, you will look at your funnels, you will look at CRO, you will maybe experiment within your channels, add new channels, and then those winners you will put back in your always on layer. Did I summarize that correctly?
I think so,
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for your time here in Growth Talks. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode as well. If you have some questions afterwards, you can always reach out to Dennis or reach out to me. And I hope to see you in the next episode.
All right.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.